Welcome to the Creativity Hub. Here, you'll get a chance to find ebooks for your students and explore some tools for making your own. First of all, let's talk about finding ebooks that have already been made. One of the reasons we like ebooks as opposed to paper books sometimes is because they can be more accessible for some students. Ebooks work well for students who need to hear text read aloud or for students who can't physically hold or turn the pages of a paper book. Here's just a few options for places you can find ebooks. Tar Heel Reader is one option, and it's especially nice for emergent readers. I'll let you click that link and check it out if you're interested. Next comes Boardmaker, and Boardmaker probably has the widest accessibility options. We'll talk about what Boardmaker has available on another slide here. And after Boardmaker there, we have Bookshare. And Bookshare probably has the widest variety of books that can be read on almost any device. But it's important to keep in mind that not everyone qualifies for Bookshare. And then finally, we have the Dakota County Library. Let's look more closely at the Dakota County Library. So all students were emailed, first of all students have a fine-free library card from the Dakota County Library. And that gives students access to a bunch of different audiobook platforms. And all students were emailed information about their library card earlier this fall. Um, if you want to know a little bit more about student library cards, you can check out that link. And if you want to learn more about the audiobook platforms, you can follow the bottom link. We mentioned Boardmaker before, and I just wanted to talk specifically about a couple of book options they have that I want to make sure you don't miss. One is called Reading Avenue, and this has accessible books that come with built in lesson plans. So they give you a book, and it gives you lesson plans for rereading that book with a different purpose all week long. And they're broken down by, they call them different avenues. So you have Avenue A, B, or C. And so as you look at those books, just keep in mind that Avenue A is kind of that most emergent, and Avenue C is almost at a conventional level. The other group of books that Boardmaker has that's really nice is called the Core First Learning. So these are both books and related like comprehension activities, writing activities, and they're all focused on core words. And so this is really nice for AAC users who are using a core vocabulary layout and want some more experience with the words in that core vocabulary. Um, and there are communication symbols and voice output on each page of those Core First Learning books, which makes it really easy for our AAC users to talk about the book that they're reading. To learn more about anything that has to do with Boardmaker, go ahead and click on the Help Center link up there underneath the Boardmaker title. Okay, so those were some options for finding some books. Next, we also want to talk about creating ebooks, whether this is you creating some books, especially for your students, or whether it's students creating the books themselves to share with their classroom or to send home to share with their families, whether they're sharing with mom and dad or maybe a sibling. It's sometimes nice to have the older kids share with a younger sibling so they can be reading a book that's a little bit easier for them, but something that a sibling would be interested in. And so, again, there's all sorts of options for creating ebooks. That same platform, Tar Heel Reader, you're able to write your own books as well. And that's a really simple platform to use. Um, so that can be nice. And then again, Boardmaker has some book templates that you can use so that all you have to do is add some text and some pictures, and the book is still scanning accessible, eye gaze accessible, that sort of thing. And then, of course, you can use Google Slides to create ebooks, as well as Canva and Flipgrid. So we're going to talk about some of these in a little more detail here as we move along. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about how you can make ebooks in Google Slides, there is a video presentation. Or you could choose to just flip through some slides from that video presentation to get some tips and tricks. And then keep in mind that one of the things we want students to be doing is self-selecting books that they want to read. And so one way you could do that is by building a bookshelf within Google Slides. And so if you click this link here, you can see an example of using Google Slides to create a digital bookshelf that just hyperlinks out to other books that the student might be interested in reading. So Flip, also known as Flipgrid, it changed its name over the summer, and also made some updates to some of its camera features. But we have started a district-wide virtual book buddy initiative using Flip to get students to read for other students. So if you're not familiar with Flipgrid or Flip, um, it just has to do with creating videos and commenting on videos, but it works really nice for reading to other people. I know lots of times there might be some behaviors or scheduling conflicts or all sorts of things that keep people from being able to do a book buddy group um, together in person. So this is a way that we can do that virtually. And so, if you want to learn more about using Flip to participate in the Virtual Book Buddies program, there's a link there. And if you're all ready to join that Virtual Book Buddy group, you can click that top link. Next, just wanted to talk about Canva, using Canva to create ebooks. Canva has some really amazing storybook and comic strip templates that make it really easy to just add some customized pictures and words to, and you have a beautiful storybook. The other thing that's really cool about Canva is they have some amazing presentation features that would allow you to give students remote control to the book that you're maybe presenting on the screen, so that not only can they turn the pages, but they can respond by throwing confetti on the screen or doing a drum roll or a curtain call or a mic drop, all sorts of fun things that they can do or you can do to add some fun to reading those Canva ebooks. So if you're interested in seeing those presentation features, there's a video there. You can click on that first link. And if you're just new to Canva and you want to see all the resources that are available about how to log in, that sort of thing, you can click on that bottom link. So the majority of your time in this session is going to be to either find or create ebooks for your students. And so if you're trying to decide which tools to use to do that, I did just throw together a little chart, more about the tools that you're going to use to create ebooks. rather than the tools to find ebooks, because we kind of talked about those pros and cons. But go ahead and take a look at all of these here. Keep in mind, of course, that when you do use Google Slides to create ebooks, you could also add in some Pear Deck activities to make it interactive. And some of the pros of using Google Slides, of course, is that everyone has access to Google Slides, so that makes it easy. Snap and Read. Um, it is Snap and Read accessible, meaning you can use our Snap and Read Chrome extension and read the text that is within the Google Slides. And we already talked about how you can create a bookshelf for students to select the books that they want to read. Some of the cons would just be that they're missing some of the fun elements of some of the other programs. There's not quite so many bells and whistles. There also isn't really highlighted text to speech unless you are using something like Snap and Read along with it. And your accessibility options are a little bit limited with Google Slides. It's easy to use a switch to turn the page or a touch screen to turn the page. But beyond that, there really isn't a lot you can do as far as scanning to use some other features. Um, Next up, let's just talk about Boardmaker. So the pros of Boardmaker is there's lots of accessibility options, including eye gaze. And if you have an AAC user, they can get to Boardmaker from right within their device, which is really nice. And then Boardmaker has progress monitoring options. So if you're assigning students books, you can see how many books, how much time they've actually spent reading those books. And Boardmaker does have that nice highlighted text to speech, just always. Now, some cons is just that not all staff have access to the program, and the program can be a little bit slow and unreliable. That's gotten better. So if you haven't tried Boardmaker within the last year and a half, I would say that they've definitely made some improvements to that. So let's talk next about Tar Heel Reader. That's a very simple interface, which can be a pro. The con to that, of course, is that you're limited in your designing ability. So it's both a pro and a con there. And Canva, we've talked quite a bit about that already. And again, just want to stress that everyone does have access to Canva. You can just log in with your Google account. So that again is another pro. And I should mention too that just like in Google Slides with Canva, you can create a bookshelf and do the hyperlinking to books that the student might want to read. But again, a con would be that there isn't any of that text to speech highlighting built into the app. So the audio output that you're going to get from Canva is going to be just by the recordings that you create yourself. If we go down to Flip, again, everyone has access to Flip. It's a free program. It's really easy to comment on others' readings or reading books that others have read. And so that's a real nice way to kind of build community around literacy. And again, it's a nice platform for virtual book buddies, and there's some fun camera effects. But again, with Flipgrid, there's no built-in text to speech, at least with the highlighting feature. So you are relying again on audio. So those are just some, there's some pros and cons. And one more thing I want to mention before you go ahead and decide what you want to spend the rest of your time on is that I created a doc, a Google Doc, that will allow you to share the things that you've found or created during this session. So, as you're creating ebooks, as you're finding them, if you just want to add them to this document, that would be great because then if you liked it, chances are some of your peers, some of your colleagues are also going to like it. And we'll just build a nice repository of ebooks that way. I'm going to go back here to this page, and hopefully these pros and cons kind of help you decide what you want to dive into. And if you leave today with any questions, be sure you reach out to me.